Do you guys remember this angle? I've been making episodes in this place before. This is a house of my relatives, and I'm here right now because Easter. So yeah, vlogging is back. Not really. I just happened to be out of town and I want to make an episode. So I'm planning to make this episode art related, but I have a problem. And the problem is in the fact that I dropped my Apple Pencil on the floor, tip down, and it kinda broke. So it works about 80% of the time, and when it doesn't, you have to press harder. I really hope that the replacement of the nib itself, like this part of it, there's a spare part like this that comes in the box, but it's at home. I hope that replacing it will fix the problem, but for now I'm stuck with this almost functioning pencil. I also have my Companion 2 with me, but that thing, I don't know, either it became more laggy with time or something, but I recently tried to use Photoshop in its own system, like with its own processor, not using it as a CNT connected to the desktop, but as is. It was so laggy, like crazy laggy. I don't know what to do about it. So yeah, there are babies everywhere in here. I'm gonna go and walk around the nature for a bit, and then we'll try to paint something with something. I'm not sure what and with what, but we'll see. Just yesterday, there's been huge pieces of ice right here next to the shore. But we have a theory that wind brought them way over there right now. This is what we see. Does it look like ice? So yeah, here we go. I actually managed to kind of fix this pencil by kind of pressing this broken part of it, the very tip, closer to the center, the way it was broken, so the contact would be back in place. Something like that. So yeah, this gives me hope that the problem is indeed in just the shape of the tip, so I'll replace it and it's gonna be fine. So yeah, while I'm here with this iPad in my hands, let's talk about this whole situation with Procreate and other software on iPad. By the way, aside from Procreate, I really liked this piece of software called Artstudio Pro. It also uses Metal API, that means it's really fast. The resolutions of the canvases, I think you can create canvases. Is it bigger than in Procreate? I don't really remember. We have 64 megapixels, so 6.4 by 10 will work. So yeah, what I liked about Artstudio Pro is that it's kind of close to Procreate in its performance, like it's always really fast as well. Well, this is not the best brush to show the performance. Let's see, right here I have a couple of my own brushes. It's like really fast. Updating the huge amount of pixels pretty much immediately. And as you maybe have noticed, there's two types of transparency that are in action right away, with pressure and everything. In dynamics, right here, we can set up opacity and flow control, just like in Photoshop. So yeah, this is why this program really attracted my attention. You may have seen this piece I posted in an Instagram story, Arachna. I actually started it in Artstudio on iPad as well, while trying it. I think, yeah, this stage was done in Artstudio, and then I continued detailing it to this level in Artstudio Pro. So I gotta say, pretty much things work out pretty well, but this is kind of like not a limited way of detail, but a very convenient kind of detail. You know, one character in a very familiar position in and everything, and it kind of matters in a way that when I really try to like work on pages for Outlandish Curiosity, I find it much harder to define this kind of details when I can't see the size of the brush in the preview. And many of you guys told me in the comments like, dude, you can go into settings and turn on the brush cursor right here, right? Well, I know that it's always on for me as well, but this kind of brush preview appears only when I'm making the stroke already. Like here we can see this cursor. But that's not when I want to see it. The preview is there, but the moment I stop making a stroke, it disappears. And that's exactly when I need to see the size of the brush before I start the stroke. Right now, I'm going to make a stroke on the foliage in the background, but I have no idea what the size of the stroke I'm gonna have. Only when I start actually making the impact on the canvas, I can see it, and that's too late. So what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, I've been writing letters to all kinds of developers. I wrote big letters to Procreate developers, to Artstudio Pro, to Paintstorm Studio developers. I've actually even created like an animation describing my idea of how I want to implement the hovering cursor with the Apple Pencil technology that doesn't allow it to actually show up the way Wacom pens do. So this whole thing will work based on the position of the palm of the artist, because that's what iOS does when you touch the screen with a palm, it rejects it. So we won't like constantly make any kind of changes with the touch of your palm. But what if it's possible to get the coordinates of the palm when it's getting rejected, and based on that show the hovering like a ghost of a cursor next to the hand, and then when you start actually drawing, it snaps to where the tip of the pencil is and you draw, and then back to hovering again like this. I think it would be really cool if it's possible to do. If it's kind of impossible to read the coordinates of the palm, maybe it's possible to read just the event of the touch and maybe show this ghost of the cursor where the last stroke was. Something like that. I feel like it's really important to implement some kind of appearance of the brush cursor as frequently as possible on the canvas, so I could know what I'm going to paint with. So yeah, hopefully at least someone of the developers will try to implement this idea and a couple of other ones that I've been talking to them about. Of course, I always mention the customizable keyboard shortcuts, but not a lot of developers actually think that this is in a high priority. Like, they have other things to do for now, and then later they will add it. So that's kind of a bummer, but we'll see. Maybe it will happen a lot sooner than I think. But yeah, that's the situation on my relationship with iPad software for drawing. I actually made this doodle just half an hour ago after I managed to make this tip work. So yeah, generally I gotta say, even without a keyboard, I think you can work with it. You can see I'm using the glaze mode of the brush engine in Procreate that allows you to kind of work with opacity kind of mode for the transparency of the brush, whatever the name of it is. So I can work with these layers of opacity like this, the way I like using it in Photoshop, without the second control of FLAW, but I mean, it's better than nothing. And it kind of works out, and it's really a good kind of mode to start your search with. And after that, you may switch to a brush that has a flow control. So that's a good strategy. So yeah, I guess this is it. Just a short update on the whole situation with me and iPad Pro. Still kind of cautious on the whole idea of working on it constantly, like for work, but really feeling more and more sort of adjusted, more comfortable, and more just confident in my workflow on this thing. And generally the whole way the developers actually react to what people suggest to implement in the future is really giving a lot of hope about how all the software environment will really improve, I think really soon. So yeah, looking forward to the nearest future, nearest updates of all the software. I think is gonna be very interesting. So yeah, this is it. Tell me guys guys what you think about my idea with the hovering brush. Is it something worth adding to the software? Maybe some of you guys are the developers, maybe you know if it's technically possible to do that at all. Because I haven't really had any answer yet, because it's weekend right now. No one from Procreate answered me about this idea or anything like that, but I'm like really hoping that this is possible. So yeah, this is it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Not really gonna do the whole intro because this is kind of a weird place for that. So yeah, bye.